I have entered my Old Man Brony arc. This is the first of what might become a series where I sit down and talk about Brony topics from the ancient past, kind of a show and tell, if you will. These new Chinese cards are like taking over the world right now. They completely took over China and they're coming to the US now. We're not talking about these today. Today we're going to be looking back in time and looking at the very first My Little Pony trading cards instead. When I say very first, I'm excluding the little cards that came in the blind bags. I have all of them as well. Maybe we could look at them some other day. Today we're going to be looking at the Enterplay cards that these first released all the way back in BronyCon 2012. So yeah, of course I had to get the binder. I mean, look, Derpy's right there in the corner. It doesn't get any better than that. We're going to look at these in a second, but basically at BronyCon, I went there and just bought a couple boxes worth, and I had pretty much all of the cards right off the bat. And if you don't believe me, I still have the original box, or at least one of them that I got at BronyCon, the little display boxes, along with all of the empty packets. I mean, I'm a bit of a pack rat. I just can't throw stuff away. How could I possibly throw away something with as much historical significance as these ancient pony trading cards? And guess what? I actually have a brand new unopened one right here. So we're going to look at that later. So I was one of the first people to get any of these cards, actually. I actually picked up my cards. I picked up my boxes just before the famous fire you may have heard about. At BronyCon 2012, there was actually a fire of a lighting fixture just above the main stage's audience's heads. Most of it landed in the aisle between all the seats, but off to the side is indeed where I was sitting. So there is a non-zero chance that if I didn't leave my seat to pick up these trading cards, I would have had molten plastic dripping on my head. So these trading cards saved me. At BronyCon 2012, they rescued me from the fire. They got these BronyCon Enterplay lanyards. This wasn't from 2012 as far as I remember. I don't remember what year. It's probably 2013. But it just goes to show how big of a brand Enterplay was in the Brony scene. Enterplay made a bunch of merchandise we're not going to be looking at. Just like one example I like a lot. This is a gift from Okami Girls. This little flip book of Derpy. Look at that. We got a little scene on the left and the right there. Since I picked up just so many cards at once at BronyCon, I was actually one of the first people to very nearly complete my set. And I actually passed most of these cards, all but like a couple, through a scanner and uploaded them online. So because I was one of the first people to have these cards in hand, and probably the first person to scan them, some retailers actually used my scans of these cards we're going to look at today. So if you've ever shopped around on ToyWiz, for example, back in the day, not today, it's different now, but back in the day, if you shopped on ToyWiz, for example, you might have seen my cards on ToyWiz or possibly other retailers as well. So my understanding is Enterplay made 4 series plus a special series for the movie. Today we're just looking at series 1, like the very first cards that released. These things are expensive, man. It's gambling. You gotta buy a packet and hope you get the card you want.
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it.
I had to buy, I don't know, dozens, hundreds of these to eventually get all the cards in the set, in addition to some interesting trades and purchases I made, which, again, I'll talk about later. While I'm putting these away, I'll talk about Enterplay a little bit. I think they shut down roughly in 2018 or so. I remember that they were liquidated or bought out by some other company, and they sold a bunch of stuff in bulk. As I mentioned earlier, the pony trading cards are making a huge comeback in the Chinese, I think it's pronounced Kayou? I apologize, not sure how to pronounce it, but the English version of these cards, I think just came out. Like, they're actually hard to find right now, but as you can see, I got a couple here. I had to get a couple Derpies. I bought them for a couple bucks on eBay, not much money. And then I found this one for free at Ciderfest. So shout out to the person who's leaving these around on the free table. That was really cool. So let's start in the beginning. On page 1 here, we have the character cards. So the character cards are interesting. Not all of them are holographic. As you can see, Princess Celestia and Luna are not holographic, but everyone, including Spike, is. I think even the CMC are holographic. For some reason, Granny Smith got a holographic. Unless I'm seriously mistaken, I should have all of the cards here. So that probably means Cadence, Shining Armor, and others just didn't get a holographic. Let's unleash Twilight from her card tomb here, and we can take a closer look at that. See, very, very shiny. So unfortunately, these cards use like very generic stock artwork. They are not nearly as beautiful and amazing as like the more custom vectors you see on the new cards. But again, to be clear, these are a whole different company. This company went out of business. These are relics from an ancient past. These are the hot new item. I don't follow trends. I don't care about the hot new item. I cherish the old relics from the 2012 days. On the back of the cards, you get a little bio. You get some details about what kind of pony they are. You get their cutie mark, element of harmony in this case, their pet. Twilight's location is the Ponyville Library. That's actually kind of sad to see. These cards are so old, we're going to see a lot of references to things that like hadn't happened in the show yet. So worth pointing out, I got multiple of each card. I actually had like a complete set multiple times over, and I gave a lot away to friends. I also think it's interesting that the cards are numbered in this order. So canonically, Enterplay says Twilight Sparkle is pony number 1, Rarity's a number 2, Fluttershy is all the way down to number 3, At least Applejack's not last. Pinkie Pie is at 5, and then Rainbow Dash is in last place. How appropriate is that for the pony who can't stand to lose?
I hate losing.
I also think it's really interesting that Princess Luna here is in her old Season 1 design. For those unaware, her design here in Season 1 is pretty much an entire different design from every episode onward. I just think it's so cool that these cards are so old that they even use a design that some fans sometimes forget existed. So apparently I only have one of Luna. Let's put her back very carefully. All right, the next page, we got the Cutie Mark Crusaders, the lovely couple, random Granny Smith. Interesting how she's spaced with Cheerly between. I'm not sure why they did that. I feel like they could have tried to group the Apple family together, maybe put Apple Bloom last, then Granny, then Big Mac, but whatever. Of all the characters to get a holographic version, I don't know really why Zecora did and other more significant characters didn't, but you can kind of see, maybe my lights aren't the best setup, but you can see on the left, obviously, that Zecora is a lot shinier. All right, next page. Snips and Snails get a card somehow. We got Appaloosa. I like how the Wonderbolts are just generically represented by Spitfire and Soren. So this is interesting. There's actually a villain section we're going to get to next, and they don't put Silver Spoon and Diamond Tiara in the villain section. I might have to look it up. I don't know why the Mayor and Time Turner, or Dr. Hooves card, look at that lighting on Mayor. That must just be a screenshot pulled from some episode. I'm curious where that would be. How do you describe two mostly unrelated characters? This mayor happily serves her citizens, armed with inspirational speeches, the likes of which Ponyville has never seen. And who is her official town timekeeper? Time Turner, the pony responsible for keeping Ponyville's clocks in sync. Well, there you go. Random lore dump on Dr. Hooves, setting the hourglass for cider competitions and pretty much all things timey-wimey. So the cider reference is interesting. I vaguely remember that being the case. And of course, timey-wimey is a Doctor Who reference.
Ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
So this was before they were brave enough to just print Dr. Hooves on a card. And of course, DJ Pone 3 and Octavia, already popular characters long before Slice of Life. It's weird to think that Octavia was popular enough to be paired with Vinyl Scratch even back then. This was back when they were both very much background ponies, especially Octavia, who might have only appeared once. Next page. This one's interesting. This is, as far as I can tell, the only hero card. I don't know what gives it that designation of hero card, but we got Mare Duel and Daring Do, which is kind of weird because both of these characters were fictional at the time. I don't think Daring Do was revealed to be a real pony yet. And of course, Mare Duel was never a real single pony. This card right here might be blasphemy. That's not Bon Bon. What are you doing, Lyra? So yeah, in case it's not obvious, this predates Lyra and Bon Bon being that big of a deal. I think this was their attempt at just having two random background ponies. And another strange one not to have in the villain section is Prince Blueblood, who is very much an antagonist, and as far as I know, they never reformed him. He never became a good guy, right? But that leads us to the actual villain section, which get this cool purple design card. Nightmare Moon, pretty obvious villain. Discord, pretty obvious villain. Queen Chrysalis, pretty obvious villain. And Sea Serpent? Was this guy ever a villain? Why is he under the villain section? But yeah, obviously this whole entire series of cards was about 3 years before Slice of Life aired. So Steven here was simply called Sea Serpent, not Steven Magnet. If you read the description, it says he has a magnetic personality. Like, that's a very direct reference to the Brony fan name of Steven Magnet. For those who don't know, back in the day, YouTube's captions were practically unusable. The automated YouTube captions just for some reason put the word Steven Magnet under his face, and someone on 4chan or somewhere else just screen capped that and thought it was funny. And that's just such an organic, silly fandom meme that we just ran away with his name being Steven Magnet for no reason. So as if that wasn't silly enough and amazing enough that they also reference his magnetic personality here in the card, and obviously in Slice of Life,
I'm Steven Magnet.
they just outright name him Steven Magnet after the fans. So we get Gilda. Even if she gets friendly later in the show, she's still antagonistic enough to be the villain, right? And then there's Trixie, which again makes total sense for her to be under the villain category if she was an antagonist, right? It's just weird to think that this character would go on to become like a pretty major secondary character, like a pretty major main character of multiple episodes, along with Starlight Glimmer, who did not exist when this trading card set came out. One more little detail I think is funny. I don't know if you would call this an error or like a misprint or what, but Luna's character card shows a close-up of the crescent moon on her cutie mark, right? But the Nightmare Moon card shows the entire cutie mark, black splotches included. So I think this is one of multiple little oddities and issues and errors, but there is one more obvious actual misprint error I found. If we go back here to the character cards and look at photo finish, that is not Photo Finish's cutie mark. That is Twilight Sparkle's cutie mark. So if we move on from the villains to the pet section, I guess most of the pets largely came from May the Best Pet Win, except for Pee-wee obviously had a special episode. Oh, and I guess Philomena as well. And that brings us to the Moments of Friendship cards. These are just random scenes from the show. So here's a random trivia question from Another Day, Another Dungeon. What book is Rainbow Dash reading in Read It and Weep? Well, the answer here on the card says Daring Do and the Quest for the Sapphire Stone. But the episode calls it that and the Sapphire Statues.
Daring Do and the Quest for the Sapphire Statue. And the Quest for the Sapphire Stone.
So technically, you're wrong, the card is wrong, and the episode is wrong. So yeah, all of these are just random moments from the show, I believe seasons 1 and 2. Little bits of trivia on the back. So yeah, hey, Bobby C's, if you're ever looking for trivia questions for My Little Millionaire, we got a bunch right here. So after all these nice little moments from the show, we get location cards. My memory of the location cards is not good. I think these were the most common cards in packs, and maybe we'll put that to the test in a little bit later. Also, on the back of the location cards, you get this sweepstakes code. So I'm pretty sure I went through each of these cards back in the day and entered this code, and I don't think I ever won a thing. There was something very, very special you could win. I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But yeah, as far as I can remember, I don't think I got anything. Their website is like delightfully ancient looking. It's good I can access it right now to just to reminisce, but who knows what day this is just going to turn into malware, so be careful out there. Maybe the winning code was in here all along. Maybe the winning code was in here for 14 years and nobody ever found it. Oh, I did find one more oddity, because my whole thing is animation errors, right? On card number 78 for Golden Oak Library, rest in peace, they spell Owlilicious' name hilariously wrong. I don't know what the story is behind that. Maybe it's an alternate spelling, but can you blame them for misspelling that? I sure can't. So that brings us to the Standee cards, which are kind of a fun gimmick, actually. So yeah, these kind of fold down, and then the bottom folds into itself like so. There she is. So obviously this isn't the best camera angle for it, but she can just stand up like that. So another funny thing I've noticed, and again, maybe this is my sin hunting proclivity, but each of the main 6 has their gala dress on, except for Fluttershy. I mean, look at her expression. All the others are happy to be wearing their dresses, and she's wearing some other random dress, and she doesn't look happy at all. I don't know why they went with her looking so concerned wearing one of Rarity's other random dresses. All right, you guys ready for something special? We got some foils. I mean, okay, I'm kind of bypassing the CMC here. It is pretty cool how they got the CMC all dressed up in their Showstoppers outfits. But yeah, the special foils, starting off with the Elements of Harmony. So yeah, it's pretty cool. We got 6 Element of Harmony cards, each one representing the element and the bearer, obviously, and the moment in episode 1 where they showed those elements. But what's even more special is on the back, over here, it forms I guess you could call it a puzzle of sorts. And so this is also holographic and makes for a pretty cool mural-looking thing. Then we got 9 royal wedding cards, with the main 6 bridesmaids, the happy couple, and Princess Celestia for some reason. Wow, Celestia's mane looks really weird and holographic. It kind of looks, I guess it looks cool, but it looks dark, doesn't it? You gotta get the light just right for Celestia to glow properly. At least Fluttershy looks happier here. And on the back of those, we have another puzzle that makes this little scene from the royal wedding. Pretty cool. So in addition to the Elements of Harmony, we also get the Elements of Disharmony. So each of these is one of the main 6, but represented by their discordant element. And they form a map of... Interesting, this is actually the stained glass window when they defeated Nightmare Moon, it would look like. I'm not sure why they went with that, though. I'm surprised it's not Discord related back here. All right, and then as you can see, that gives us to some very special cards coming up next. Before we get to these special cards, I have to point out, I kind of lied. I don't actually have every single Series 1 card, simply because these autograph cards exist. These cards are so rare, and I don't think I will ever be able to have even just one, let alone all of them. About a month ago, I saw one sold for $800 in 2025. It wouldn't surprise me if they can go for a lot more than that with the right buyer. They seem to have really low sale volume, so yeah, these cards are crazy expensive. Also, fun fact, that same seller who sold that card is looking to sell this binder of all their Series 1 cards for, what, $2,500? Yeah, I'll sell mine for that price. Anybody want to buy it? I'll trade you a life-size pony plush for this binder of old trading cards. Hit me up. So yeah, going back to my missing page of autograph cards I don't have. This is where I'd put my autograph cards if I had one.
This is where I'd put a trophy. If I had one!
They're so rare, even my little wiki lacks photos of one of them. Like, did anybody get that card? Is that card just not out there? Maybe the sweepstakes code for that card is in here. So that brings us to the more rare cards I do indeed have, the gold series. So my memory is that these were box toppers, and I got a couple of these in the boxes I bought at BronyCon. The only way to get some of these cards was to buy an entire box of them, and it would just be sitting on top of the packets. However, now that I check my little wiki, it says 1 to 4 could be in pack. Yeah, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. So these 4 could be found in packs. That means there is a chance, however small, that one of these 4 cards is in this unopened 14-year-old pack, and that would be amazing if I got one. These still go for like $20 on eBay, which is not bad for a card collection nobody cares about. But yeah, the rest of them, I believe, were only in box toppers. And Derpy's on a different page. Don't mind Derpy. She's not part of this. So we get all the princesses, including Future Princess. So you get like the heroes and the biggest villains. That's pretty cool, actually. I like how Evil Cadences is the most special. She doesn't get a bio. She just gets real identity Queen Chrysalis.
No spoilers!
It lists her location as Canterlot because, of course, the Changeling Hive didn't come until, what was it, season 7, I think? I gotta point out, Discord's card is upside down. That is a hilarious little detail. That brings us to these very special promos. Special for many, many reasons. We're gonna go through these one at a time. Starting with Applejack here. This was apparently exclusive to attendees of Canterlot Gardens 2012. If you've never heard of Canterlot Gardens, I'm pretty sure it was one of the smaller pony conventions. My little wiki also says it was in limited supply at a New York City pop-up shop of some kind. I actually don't remember how I got mine, so I probably got it on eBay for not too much money. Then we get Pinkie Pie. So this was just a retail item. You could just get Pinkie Pie by buying one of their collector's boxes, which of course I have right here. What do I have in here right now? Hey, Bernie Aprils!
Bernie Aprils.
Yeah, I'm just using this box as random trinkets. Oh, there's my ticket for the My Little Pony movie. Which one is this? Oh, all of them. I'm not going to open it up, but I also have the Equestria Girls movies in there. But that's a sort of random trinkets and things I want to talk about in this format of video. So let me know if you want to see more of that. Back on topic, we have a special one, the Rainbow Dash. This is probably the rarest, or one of the rarest, non-autographed cards in all of Series 1. I remember Rainbow Dash would go for a good $400 or so on eBay back in the day, and I think she still goes for at least a couple hundred. So how in the world did I get Rainbow Dash? Well, she was an exclusive card, a promo card, to Comic-Con 2012, both in San Diego and New York. Alas, I've never been to a Comic-Con in either of those places. This card is one of my proudest acquisitions of pretty much any collectible in my entire collection. I traded for this card at a BronyCon swap meet. I didn't have to pay a cent for this very valuable card. I'm going to talk more about that later. It's relevant to a different story. So moving on to Fluttershy here. Fluttershy here was exclusive to Everfree Northwest 2012. At the time, Everfree seemed so out of reach, being a convention on the other side of the country for me. I didn't think I would ever be able to attend an Everfree, so it's actually really cool in hindsight to look back and know that I've been to multiple. So because I wasn't at Everfree 2012, I had to find a different way to acquire this card. This, as far as I know, is the only card Enterplay did an online survey for. You could go on their website or something and fill out a form, and they would just send you this card for free. So yeah, because I couldn't go to all the conventions and get all the cards, I had to get pretty resourceful and jump on that limited time offer as soon as it appeared on Equestria Daily. I would feel so bad if this was the one card I didn't have, and the only way I could get it was filling out some random survey that expired. So then we have Twilight Sparkle. She was also just a retail card exclusive to a collector's tin, which I also have right here. What could be inside this box? What's in the box? Lanyards and old BronyCon badges. If I do another video of this format, I'll talk about my BronyCon badges next probably. Look at this streak from my dad. Start off with, I'm with him. But yeah, that's off topic. We're not talking about BronyCon today. Oh, look, there's another one I forgot to take out. But do let me know if you want to see more videos in this format, because I definitely want to talk about my BronyCon badges and lanyards. Let's get back on topic with another very special card, Rarity. True to her name, this was probably the rarest card at the time. Probably similar in rarity, or at least price, as Dash, but maybe even more so, because Rarity came out earlier and only at BronyCon 2012. Now, lucky for me, BronyCon 2012 was a convention I was at. It was my very first convention, actually. So I actually attended BronyCon with my dad and with a friend, so each of us got to get a free promo card just for beelining it to their booth and being the first one there to get our badge punched, and then we get a card. And my friend later lost interest in ponies and gave me his card as well. So that means I ended up with 3 of probably the rarest Series 1 cards other than the autographs. So unfortunately, my friend's card was heavily damaged. He gave that to me, and I just used that to get a different card, and unfortunately, it wasn't in good enough condition to sell for the big bucks or to trade for something valuable. So that left me with 2 Rarity promos in good condition, both mine and my dad's. At that time, I didn't have Rainbow Dash because she was really hard to get. So I brought one of my spare rarities, and maybe even the third one I might have had at that time. I brought my extra rarities to BronyCon at a later year where they had a swap meet. This is kind of a bittersweet memory for me. I distinctly remember having immense anxiety about going to the swap meet and just cold calling random people to ask if they want to trade. But my desire to complete this collection motivated me to overcome my social anxiety. So I just walked in awkwardly and started asking people if they had cards they wanted to trade. Finally, I found someone, just before I was about to give up and leave the room. They had a Rainbow Dash card, and they were looking for a Rarity card. And it just so happened I had 2 or 3 of these, so that was a perfect trade for me. I remember at the time they actually told me they felt bad about the trade because this seemed like an unfair trade to them, but then I whipped out my extra Rarity cards. I think I surprised them with how many Rarity cards I had on me. Maybe they thought I had counterfeit ones or something. But yeah, that's how I acquired Rainbow Dash without spending a cent. And Rarity for that matter. I got the 2 rarest non-autograph cards for exactly $0. I'm really proud of myself for being able to complete the collection, getting the rarest 2 cards without spending a cent, without going through a scalper, just purely by going to a convention and trading at a convention. So yeah, I'm really excited about these 2, but I'm even more excited about this very special pony down here. Derpy was exclusive to New York Comic Con. Unlike the other 2 rare ones, I just paid for Derpy at BronyCon. I found her in vendor hall at BronyCon, and I think she was $50. Considering most of the cards I got legitimately or traded for, I don't mind spending $50 on Derpy. She was totally worth it. I think it's worth mentioning how cool it is for Derpy to even have multiple cards. This was back in 2012, the peak of Derpy Gate. They don't name her Derpy on these cards, obviously, but it's just cool to see that she's here. So yeah, that brings us to what I'm going to call the ultra special foils. So these are all the promo foils, and obviously we have like the other foils and collectibles, but these 2 I consider ultra special foils. You got DJ Pone 3 and Octavia, like the card we saw before, and then a special unbranded Derpy here. The reason I consider these so special is because they don't appear on the checklist. I went through the checklist and I got every single card, and then only later, after thinking I had all the cards, I realized there's 2 more. So Vinyl Scratch and Octavia were in some box I don't have, so I think I just bought the card cheap on eBay. But Derpy came in a special box, which of course I got. Can we just talk about this box for a minute, which is also by Enterplay, so it's relevant. This is a box of, I think, all of Derpy's major moments at the time. And keep in mind, this is before Slice of Life, so I even have like her in the background at a stall shopping in Ponyville as a special moment. Got Heartwarming Eve here. Got Luna Eclipsed. Got Hurricane Fluttershy. Wow, I'm proud of myself. I'm playing Pony Guesser right now. And of course, we did get Last Roundup. So yeah, I think I'm just using this tin to store the old collectible trading card set. So that brings us to some of the other bonus things. These are not related. These are like different sets from different series. But Series 1 did come with some tattoos. I asked on social media if anybody had anything interesting to share about these cards. Sean Sporman is a TV producer who sent me this clip of an unpacking live on air. I think it's hilarious to watch these 2 news anchors awkwardly talk about pony merch, which they probably know nothing about, but it's also really nostalgic and a fun representation of a time when Bronydom was new and exciting. All right, it's the moment we've all been waiting for, especially me. I've been anticipating this moment for sure. We're going to open up the pack. Let's zoom in on this. This is special. This pack hasn't seen the light of day in, I don't know, about 14 years. I haven't done the math. I don't know the exact date it came out, but about 14 years. This card's been waiting so long to be revealed. Here it is, the moment of truth. Fluttershy! Of all the base character cards to get, I am very happy about this. I love Fluttershy's card. On the Wonderball, it's also a really cool card. There's your location card nobody cares about. With the... do we enter that code? All right, I've entered the code on their website. I didn't even bother doing a screen capture because I know it's not going to work. Did I win? Sorry, this is not a winning code. Please try again. So I wonder if these codes are still actually effective. Like, that could have been a winning code because the website's still online. It gave me a response. So yeah, I'm really happy about Fluttershy, Wonderbolts. Camelot's a cool location. Rarity's a cool standee. Did not get a holographic. Oh, that's really disappointing. But hey, we got a Rainbow Dash tattoo. I was going to actually put the tattoo on, like, as a joke, but do I not have Rainbow Dash? All right, well, unless they're mixed in here, which I don't think they are, so I'm not going to put that Rainbow Dash tattoo on. That is a collectible. Now, that one's going to stay right there in my collection. So yeah, while I'm putting these away, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this format of video. I would love to do more videos of this nature. I really want to talk about my convention badges. I have so much to talk about with the convention badges. Just going through them one by one would be a really fun time. But yes, leave me a comment, send an email if you have any feedback or want me to look at anything in particular. Thank you so much to all the patrons and channel supporters and everyone else doing cool stuff out there. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'm going to continue organizing my new cards.